Всем привет! Что-то зацепила меня игра. Давайте в этот раз попробуем позвонить жене. В первой серии я добрался до телефона и выключил его из розетки. А в этот раз давайте попробуем позвонить. Да, мы знаем, что это история о Стэнли. Сразу отправимся в правую дверь. Я надеюсь, нас не выкинет. Бла-бла-бла. Это был правильный путь, все нормально. Полюбовались. Комнаты отдыха. Так, в эту мы тоже не заходим. Потом зайдем обязательно. Так. Потом обязательно надо будет спрыгнуть. Я король мира. Король коробок.
But the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
Так. Вот она. Вот она, дверь с телефоном. Она ждала. Ну что ж. Да. Я возьму трубку. Алло, дорогая. Комната 427. Хлеб из печки. Ах ты, сука, я так и знал. Вообще-то есть. Давай, расскажи, что на самом деле происходит. О смерти нет.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing.
Сегодня я буду выполнять все, что ты мне скажешь, детка. Все.
He's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures.
Ты сегодня немногословно.
Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it.
Никогда такого с ним не будет, да. Увлекательная история. 4, чтобы смотреть ТВ. Хорошо. Это не ТВ.
First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished.
То есть это все фантазия, Стэнли.
The thought excited him terribly. So, he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could
Наконец-то выбор.
At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Блин.
As he wandered through this fantasy,
То сейчас все превратится в мой офис.
with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions.
Назывался
Down
это
another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
притча Стэнли. Ну, я правильно сказал.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope
То
that
есть
it would
лучший
never
выход
end,
это смерть.
that he might
Стэнли,
always
ты
feel this free.
пипец
Surely
вообще.
there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Я бы с тобой поиграл.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more
Hate
he
Mondays.
forgets which
Да,
life
ненавижу
is the real
понедельники.
one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing
Медленно
himself.
убивает себя. Да.
Won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks
Не
you
делать
to push
этого.
a button, do not
Ну, я же
do
сегодня
it.
решил все выполнять.
You see? Can he just not hear?
Да, я сегодня все выполняю, я
Tell
сегодня
him in a
послушный.
way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different. I
Ну давай,
suppose.
объясни мне снова.
I'll try once
Я
more to
попробую забраться
convey
под
all this
стол.
to him. I'm compelled to. I
Не
must.
получается.
Perhaps, well, maybe this time you'll see. Maybe this time.
Maybe this time. Пожалуйста, умрите.
And Stanley
Да,
pushed a
сейчас
button.
сделаю.
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
Я так и хотел. Умереть. Я так хотел позвонить жене. Ну ладно. Отправляемся на смерть.
What could it mean?
Во
Stanley
имя...
decided to go to the meeting room.
Не знаю.
Perhaps he had
Во
simply
имя
done
факса. И принтера. И листа бумаги
Stanley
А4.
came to a set of two open
Нет,
This
в
was
левую
the
дверь я пойду
direct way to the
потом.
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
А на самом деле люди сидят и работают. А ты такой, что...
Wow. Yes, this room. What a but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ну все, раз у меня нет жены, пора
Stanley was
покончить
so
с
bad
этим.
at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
Пацаны.
years ago.
Штраф 5000. Нормально. Куда упасть, на грузовик?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the
Паду на
wrong
грузовик,
foot
пожалуй.
here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
А вдруг выживу?
I realize that investing your trust in someone else, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him
Я
what
разбился
to do,
насмерть.
Stanley
Отлично.
left from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks
Да,
you're very
я
powerful.
очень могущественный. О! А что-то как-то с этого все началось.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Да
this
все
was
я
not
еще
the
тут
correct
не
way to the
обследовал.
meeting
Что ты
room,
пристал
and
ко
Stanley
мне?
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
Если бы
admire
еще игра не вылетала на
The
красной
lounge
двери.
was sublime, a work of art. What but eager to get back to business,
Стэнли
Stanley took the
дальтоник.
first open door on his left.
О, да.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section,
Прошел прямо в открытую
straight
дверь
ahead
напротив
to the
и
opposite
вернулся
door,
на правильный
got back
путь.
on track.
Не, давайте спустимся вниз все-таки. К коробкам.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
Тю-тю-тю-тю-тю.
Here it's
Тю-тю-тю-тю-тю. Тю-тю-тю-тю-тю. Черт, действительно только налево.
Oh,
Вот ты жопа, а?
it's to the right, my mistake.
Опять ошибка? Ага,
No,
ага.
no, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
Козел, а вот не зря я тебя
Oh dear, which
троллил в
way
самом
right?
начале. Давай сюда.
Now let's see. We went down right, down, left, right. Yep. Okay. Yes, I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely
Сюда.
this way.
Окей. Ничего нельзя тут сделать. Спускаемся. Все ниже и ниже. Уау.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
Это столько вариантов?
Okay.
А, нет, это просто
Back to,
слежка.
who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely
А кто
unusable.
вот там вот?
How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this
Не-не-не-не-не,
time,
подожди,
suppose we
чувак.
don't wander so
Тут
far off track,
интересно,
hmm?
там какие-то
Okay.
места.
From the top.
Нет. Паразит. А если еще раз я туда пойду?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Это же я себе представляю, не ты мне указываешь, куда идти. Поэтому я пойду еще раз туда. Что на кружке написано? Тоже ненавижу понедельники. Ладно. Все вы ненавидите понедельники. О, смотри-ка.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Да-да-да.
Did you move
Я
the
что-то
story
сделал.
somewhere or...
Я это
Hold on.
чувствую.
Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere.
Давай уже
Okay.
открывай.
It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Будем искать историю. Так, ну сюда нельзя войти. Гениально. Ладно. Пида раз, пида два, пида три, пидорасом будешь ты. Все, пойду сюда.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story.
Все должны
here
знать, что
before.
ты делаешь.
Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever
Слушайте, действительно,
progress
сколько
by
вариантов,
starting
если я,
over
например,
and
пойду
over again, but it's gotta be
направо, а не
better than
налево,
this.
или налево, а не
Okay, let's
направо.
give it a
Что-то я
shot.
куда-то...
Why not?
Да дай ты мне походить, ты жопа такая.
All of his co-workers were
Иначе я
gone.
убью себя.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Просто пропустил уведомление.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ты запарил меня возвращать. Дай мне дверь открыть какую-нибудь. Коллеги. 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 Тыры-ты.
Aha! I knew we'd missed
Ты
something.
жопа, а?
The story. Here it comes.
Какая сейчас будет история?
No,
Что все
wait,
закончится,
never
блин?
mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and
Зараза.
retrace our steps.
О, склад. Как все плохо-то.
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
Покажите, что там за окном. Покажите. В общем, мы должны были... Ты врешь опять. Наврал, небось, да? Ага.
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
Открой дверь.
Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Ненавижу тебя. Линия Стэнли.
I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure.
Давай, следуем за полосой.
Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Ух ты. О, вот это место секретарши, я же говорил. Она существует. Косынка, ну-ка, разложите ее как там. Ну, конечно, все просто. Так, ну все нормально. Все неплохо. Двери-то все закрыты, да? Навстречу судьбе. Офигенная линия.
Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself?
Чё, как много ты болтаешь?
Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a
Ладно, пойдемте по желтой линии
one's
здесь.
subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird.
Вот именно. Ты заболтался, чувак. О, смотрите, уже 12, 11, то есть мы сейчас скоро придем.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that
Папоротник.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Это папоротник в мельчайших деталях. Я запомнил тебя. Папоротник, я тебя запомнил. Никуда не двигайся. А мы продолжаем петь?
Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story is.
Ты мне обещал.
Oh no, not again, Line. How could you have
Ты
done
мне
this to us?
обещал.
And after we trusted you, after everything we
Уволен.
went through, you. Well,
104-й уволен. 601 уволен. Какой рестарт, урод. Я что, зря пел песню?
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Какая? Я хотел идти по полосе, по полосе. Гад.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley.
Давай сейчас придумаем что угодно. Ты сдохнешь, а я выживу. Мы ходим кругами, ты знаешь об этом? Давай, я представляю там индюка. Нету индюка. Линия возвращается. Комната с мониторами, это же так круто. Туда я не могу. Покажи мне индюка.
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere.
Конечно, должна быть обратная дверь.
There must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse.
Как много умных слов ты несешь.
So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
Я всегда входил в правую.
And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
Да, 8 раз.
That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me?
Да потому что ты никто, я все. Я вот здесь все.
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on.
Не перезагружай, замечательно.
I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't.
Не перезагружай.
I won't.
Не перезагружай.
And the time return stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
Ну.
I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Все-таки перезагрузили. Чувак, ты помнишь?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Нет, ну я закончил игру или не закончил?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
Так, ладно, пойдем в левую дверь. К черту предрассудки.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
Я же был в кабинете.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Отсюда я поднимался или спускался?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired.
Да, не стал рисковать.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His
Чё я
boss would
кругами
think he
хожу?
was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Странности. Только сейчас начал замечать.
Why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his
Так,
tongue.
какой
He
вывод?
just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Это просто сон.
He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to
Да,
lose
я не
his job.
сумасшедший. Я же говорю, кто за мной закроет двери.
And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
Давайте будем
I may
наслаждаться
as well
сном.
enjoy
Хорошо.
this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical
космосе?
starfield, and it too
Ух ты.
appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head.
Так.
One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my
Действительно,
head
что это за голос у меня в
dictating
голове?
everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Долго я еще
When
буду
he
бегать
thought it all
кругами?
very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
Чувак, ты настолько нудный, что мне хочется себя убить.
As he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too, surely.
Только, что только?
He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool
Сопротивление
weight of the
матраса
blanket on
на
his
спине.
feet, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up.
Let me
he
wake
thought
up.
to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job.
Да.
Let me
Дайте мне
continue
продолжить
pushing the buttons.
нажимать кнопки.
Please. It's all I
Пожалуйста.
want. I want my apartment and my
Да,
wife
и
and
жену.
my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will
Все
be
будет в порядке.
fine.
Я нормально.
I am
Я порядок. I am order. И проснулся с судьей Дредом. Судьей Дредом. Так.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? And everything went black.
Так что ж ты делаешь?
This is the story of a woman.
О, я же говорил, я женщина. Помните, я в первой серии говорил, я женщина.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She rose, got dressed, gathered belongings, and walked.
Долбаные мечты сбываются.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, For just a few brief
Думал о
moments,
странном
she
мужчине.
considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone
Конечно, все
knows
знают,
what
как выглядит
crazy
сумасшедший.
people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal.
Логично.
I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career.
А может быть, ее уволить должны были в этот день?
She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and
И
ran.
побежала. Слушайте, сколько концовок-то это было?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed
Сейчас, по-моему, как-то
support
по-другому
and
всё.
from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door.
Интересно, он когда-нибудь скажет войти в дверь справа?
Yet there was not a single
Так, ладно,
person
пойдемте
here
к боссу.
either. Feeling a wave of
Еще раз.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Что? А, ну это было, да. Это было.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any
Этого не было.
life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret
2845.
2845. But of course, Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the
Обалдеть.
keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Как все по-другому-то, а? Сколько концовок уже было? Я думал, концовки идут... Это... Когда титры только появляются. Или я все продолжаю играть в одну и ту же?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature
Он просто сидел в углу лифта и дрожал.
He feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him. This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Станция управления сознанием. А, вот я сейчас снизу окажусь в этом зале с мониторами.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
Да, вон они
screens.
там наверху все.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Прикольно. Камеры.
Now the monitors jumped to life.
104-й все так же уволен.
Each bore the number of an
И 601-й
employee in the
тоже.
building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Идем дальше. Еще одна кнопка. Лифт.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Конечно, под чьим-то контролем.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control.
Под номером которого здесь нету 000.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Счастлив, несчастлив, доволен, недоволен.
Happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and
Как бы система не сломала его. Ждет ввода. Ну давайте. Сломаем систему. Ну что, выключаем?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Ну что? Нет? Ничего не получилось? Или победил?
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's
И что?
promise?
Решил остаться и открыть все загадки? Я хочу на это, на улицу.
As sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not
Вот именно,
knowledge or
только
even
счастье.
power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life
Как красиво,
is,
слушайте, а?
it will be.
Смотрите, какая красота.
And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the
Поэтому
only
это и скрывали
thing worth knowing.
окнами.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
А это вранье, наверное, да, какое-нибудь очередное, нет?
Stanley felt the cool
Я уже никому не верю.
skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Я прошел? Ну, видимо... Не знаю. Ну-ка еще раз до этих двух дверей дойду и...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley
Понятно.
came to a set of two open doors,
Ладно, друзья. А напишите мне в комментариях, пожалуйста, вот то, что он вышел на улицу и был счастлив, это правильный конец или тут нету правильного конца, тут просто несколько их. Ну и, как обычно, спасибо, что смотрели меня. Всем пока, до новых встреч.